Some brands are legendary. In every category, someone sets the standard, and some companies create raving fans. Join Scott Wozniak and Caitlin Johnson of Swaz Consulting as we dig into the tactics and tools behind great organizations. How did the legends do it? And how can you become a legendary brand too? Welcome to the Swaz podcast, Make Your Brand Legendary. Today, I am joined by Caitlin Johnson. But actually, what I want to talk about today is one of your specialties that when we get into client work, and honestly, if you don't mind me previewing, you're in the middle of writing a book on, well, maybe closer to the end than the middle.
Yes.
We'll see.
It's exciting.
I want to talk about gamification today. So for context, for those of you who've been listening, right? We've had all these really cool conversations about this customer experience engine and creating raving fans and all the different systems of the engine, from customer insight to personalized service to these memorable moments. And it's beautiful. Maybe you've got this grand vision, like, yeah, I can see it. And the challenge we often run with our clients is like, great, cool vision, read the book, right? Watch the videos. I mean, this is cool. Yeah. How do I actually get my people to do this?
Right. Yeah. Magic word is how.
Yes. The quote that I love/hate is every great idea eventually degenerates into hard work. Like, dang it. And where I've seen you go, and you and I both had a lot of conversations and client stuff with this, is most people think of, like, you crack the whip and you drive them hard and you squeeze tighter. And actually, I think the most powerful way to get people engaged is to turn it into a game and do some gamification out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Gamification just allows for the space and freedom to be creative. You were mentioning about getting people to know what to do. And that is first and foremost meaningful gamification. When it's used well, that's where you start trying to identify what is the epic meaning to play. Because when we think about playing games, what games come to mind, Scott?
Well, if you want to start about typical American games, I mean, we probably think about Monopoly, Uno, Shoots and Ladders that I play with my kids, right?
Right. All those board games that we started with as kids. But now, though, kids are playing video games. So we've got Super Mario Brothers, we've got Zelda, there's Animal Crossing. And then, when you're becoming a teenager, first-person shooters, it gets there's a lot of different varieties of digital games. And one of the first things that game designers will do is try to identify the reason to play. What is going to be that epic reason a person, and let me tell you that majority of the people that play games are over 18. In the United States,
a mindset shift for a lot of leaders, because most of the, let's say, my generation and older, I'm right on the edge, right? I'm kind of 1 foot on each generation here, but just above me and older, games are the things for little kids. And now that I'm an adult, I don't play these kind of games anymore. But the majority of gamers are not little kids anymore.
That's exactly right. Right. So they're going after that bigger reason. What do I need to know to do? Why am I playing, and why I'm going to keep playing?
Yeah. Let me just underline this. Really, this is an insight, an aha that I don't know, 10 years ago came for me. And it was that, like, so much of leadership and management, especially the first school and people kind of, culture I was raised in leadership wise, was a distrustful one, right? The leader's job is to force people to work, punishments and rewards, because the assumption underneath it all was people don't want to do a good job. People want to do sloppy and bad a job as they possibly can. And you have to drive them and force them. And if you don't have the right punishments and rewards, left to themselves, they will do a bad job. And then there's this huge mindset shift. Like, no, people intrinsically want to do things well. They like to show up well. They want to win. They like well. What often happens is they don't feel like they can. They don't have the tools. And we're going to get into some of this stuff. But there's an assumption I want to challenge. If you're listening and you think leadership, management, organizations, system, team building, if you still have this, my people are a problem and I have to make them show up with excellence, there is a way to design the way you put your team and pull stuff that taps into their intrinsic desires, their natural drives, to show up and do this with excellence. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not about fighting your team, making them do it. It's about unlocking their natural curiosity, their natural drive to win, and pointing it in the right direction. It is really a different way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. So I heard two things that you're saying there too. When you bring it back to video games and gamification, there's character strengths, understanding a person's character and how to get them to understand how to use those character strengths. When you start a video game, you pick a character, and that character doesn't usually have strong skills. But as they advance throughout the game, they level up, they get more experience, and then they use their strengths more often. So there's that piece of the equation. As leaders, we need to understand how to optimize the character. And then the other piece goes back to that epic meaning. So what I want to talk here for a minute about is, what does epic meaning translate to in organizations, in operational excellence? And what it translates to is, what does your business stand for? What is the mission? What are the values that you're going after? That's what millennials and future generations are looking for, to connect to the meaning behind the organization. Why do I want to clock in and out for you? Help me see how I can use my strengths to conquer your mission and feel like I'm leveling up in life at the same time because I'm growing. So there's almost three things there, right? It's the epic mission and vision and values. There's leveraging your team and individual strengths, and there's being able to create growth opportunities. And that's what video games do. When you think about starting fresh, level one, you're understanding the narrative. What does the end game look like? How do I become the hero? And how do I use my strengths? And if I don't have them, how do I go on different quests and challenges
Build them
to get them?
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. This is so good, because people think like, oh, why do I need to pretend that I'm a game at work? And no, really, think about this. The reason video games are big, and by the way, if you guys don't know, as a video game nerd, let me share with some of this. The video game industry is bigger than the movie industry. It's bigger than the music industry. In fact, it's bigger than both of them put together. In fact, the video game industry is twice as big as movies and music combined. It is by far the largest entertainment industry in the world. It is massive. We just don't think about it because it's all these little bitty things embedded. The phone game, my kids playing here, the PlayStation console. But when you aggregate all the video game, and think about now, so why? Why am I talking about that? Is because really, it's not about the games. It's not video games are this weird little niche some people are into. Video games have tapped into some fundamental human drives, just like you talked about. This desire to be a part of a bigger story, that's a human thing. That has existed long before video games were invented. And when there's a whole new genre and video games don't exist anymore someday in the future, there still will be this human desire to say, I am living a part of a story that's bigger than myself. There's more than just, I want to feel good today, right? So this is why people get excited about these games. They're not just a random game anymore. It's not Tetris. Tetris was cool and clever, but the reason we don't play Tetris anymore is all the games you mentioned are an invitation into a story. I get to be a part of something bigger. That same fundamental human drive you can tap into in your organization to say there's a bigger story going on and we're doing something in the world that I can be proud of. And I'll just react, say, a lot of times we work with our clients on this, and they're like, I mean, listen, maybe that if you're a children's hospital, good for you, right?
Right.
We don't have
play games.
Like, listen, I spent years working at Chick-fil-A, and they have really made a tremendous job of saying, hey, what we're doing is making the world a better place. They talk about being an oasis in a world of stress. They talk about the root word for restaurant comes from the same root word as restore, for restoration. It really is the same root word. So a restaurant is supposed to be a place of restoration where emotionally and physically I just kind of refuel. And it's this, listen, is fried chicken, salads, and milkshakes, right? Like it's literal
so
fast food. If Chick-fil-A can talk about their purpose, you can talk about purpose. I mean, like, no offense, I'm probably going to lose half our listeners right now, but I'm like, you don't actually need milkshakes. That is not a life purpose, right?
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I have felt like I needed a milkshake sometimes. But
you've nailed it though, Scott, because people are looking to connect to that bigger purpose. and growth. I was just reading some research where the number one reason now people are leaving a job is because of lack of growth opportunities, lack of development. I've also read something else that said millennials will move after 2 years in a position because lack of growth opportunities.
Yeah.
So when you think about how do we grow our people, how do we retain them by connecting them to meaningful work? There is some what was that thing you said about you have to eventually do hard work? Like there's that's the hard work.
Idea
right?
Eventually degenerates into hard work.
Yeah, that's the hard work, upfront hard work that is needed to be able to create connection with employees, to work that employee engine, and to eventually get to your customer engine of deep-seated thinking. Why are we here? What is the purpose of our business? And why do we want people to work for us? Because that's what I will say, be speaking as a millennial, that is what I want. I want you to tell me why I should work for you.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this is one of the aspects of gamification is what is the bigger story, purpose, what role, what character or role do I get to play in this story? I'm not just a random figure. Like, why? What are we doing? And all that stuff. And then you're talking about some of the others. We talk about growth in game terms. We talk about kind of, leveling up your character or even simple things. So some of these epic games, you get into game nerd world here, like role-playing games where like it literally have a character gets experience and hits level 2 and unlocks. But you can even have stuff like Mario, like Super Mario Brothers, right? Let's go old school here. You don't level up your character officially, but you totally can get like those stars and mushrooms and
there's other things you can collect. Yeah. Okay. So now here's something you're going into too, is like all of the different layers of a game. Okay. So there's different layers of a game because you can know how to finish. Mario needs to walk and jump and get to the end.
Hit the flagpole and win the game.
That's exactly right. But there's challenges along the way. There's coins you can collect. There's little enemies that you can jump on. And then even too, if you have like the fancy systems, you can play with other people socially, right? Or grab Luigi because you have a brother or a sister or a parent even that is wanting to play with you. So let's talk about these layers and the behind the scenes root reason why you would add these layers. So intrinsically, games tap into a motivation for us to want to play. It's fun, but we also get to achieve different things in different ways. And there's 4 types of game player types.
Okay. Yeah, because not everybody has exactly the same drives or interests. I mean, there's all humans want to be a part of a story, but we don't all play the same games the same way.
Yeah, we're motivated differently. So we now, as a game designer, need to think about those core motivational ways and then build the tactics to meet the need. So the first motivational way to play is called a killer. And I always kind of cringe even at that name. So it's like, oh gosh, but let me tell you, the people who identify with being super competitive, so competitive that they've maybe read the directions and they know now the gray areas, right? They understand, well, it didn't say I couldn't do that. And they're just maybe super strategic. They understand how to manipulate or work around the system to be able to win. And when I talk to people who have this intrinsic motivator, like they're so proud of it. And really, in an organization, I know, Scott, because I know I'm looking at you and I'm listening to you. Do
I might be a killer. One. I mean, I don't know if I like the term either, but dang it, I might be proud of all those details as well. So yeah, keep going.
We've got to come up with a new name for it.
Dominator, maybe.
Dominator.
I'm cool with dominating.
Yes. Okay. I like dominator.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Those individuals in an organization, you could look at them as very competitive, maybe even be intimidated by them. But, couldn't we be curious about how they're viewing something? Let's say we're rolling out a new project and you have a dominator on the team. That dominator is going to start poking holes and finding ways to maybe work around the system, game the system. Yeah. And wouldn't it be great to ask them, how would you go about this?
Yeah, questions I'm always, how far can we go? How big? Who
Mm-hmm.
says we can't do that? Why not pull it off this way? And like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not the minimum. I'm always trying to say what's the maximum I can pull out of this.
Mm-hmm.
What are the
Mm-hmm.
ranges? If I can do this, which turns into this, which like, oh yeah, and so
Yes.
yeah, which yes, I want to win. What's the highest dadgum score you can get? What's the farthest? Who's the top dog on the leaderboard?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. I'm going for, I'm always literally one of my life core values. I've written out my core values. One of them,
Mm-hmm.
this is my more gentle way of saying it, Caitlin, is go for gold. Like,
Go for
I
gold.
never
Mm-hmm.
aim for an acceptable outcome. I'm always like, what is the best possible thing you could do? Maybe better than anyone else has done.
Mm-hmm.
A little sub description. I talk about have the audacity to try to be the best in the world when you do something.
Absolutely.
Go for
So
it.
if you can find those folks in your organization that go for the gold, how amazing would it be to have them up front beta testing a new program or
Wow.
system, and have them say like, what else could we possibly do with this?
Yeah.
Okay. So Dominator. I love that term. I'm trading out killer for Dominator.
Take it.
Done.
Nice.
Yep.
I
The
remember.
next one.
I can own that one.
Okay. The next one is Achiever. So the Achiever, as the word alludes to, they want the highest scores. They want to collect all the coins in Mario. They want all the stars. They want to achieve the title and so top of the leaderboard, just like a Dominator would be. They want to have the top, but they're collecting everything along the way. They're enjoying the trophy. They want to share that they've made it to that level with other people. So for this individual, it's all about the journey of collection and achieving big things.
Yeah, and I think some of my comments, I think I have some of this as well. We celebrating here. You got fun balloons on the screen. We're recording. I think for me, I have some achiever layered in there as well. So totally, yes, but it's different. There's a slightly different drive. Like sometimes I like playing with my friends who are also aggressive like this in some of For the record, my wife and I will play games, but not this way because she is an anti-dominator. With my buddies who get it, we legitimately enjoy. Like if I half joke that half the fun is grinding my opponent under my heel and be like, I crushed you this time. It's okay. He's going to crush me next time. And I'm mature enough not to freak out.
Right.
10-year-old Scott needed to learn that lesson. But
exactly.
the achiever side is like, I don't want to crush you. I just want to like check what are all the things to do. I want to get the highest scores, check the boxes.
Yes.
And I have some of that as well. I totally relate here.
Yes. So for me, I relate to achiever first. Now,
I think you're more achiever than I am.
Yeah. So Scott, let me pause here for a minute because I've said there's 4 different personality, like intrinsic, ways people play games. You're saying you're the dominator. I'm saying I'm an achiever. So does that mean we are categories? Are we
am I stuck
a title?
That's who
am
I
I stuck?
am. Yeah,
absolutely not. So what I've found in 10 years of using gamification to help organizations build impactful programs that not only get results, but also increase associate engagement. What I have found is that depending on the environment, we will then connect to a certain game player type. So the environment changes usually what we're motivated by. That's why when we're designing programs, we want to consider all 4 player types.
Yeah.
I will connect the most to achiever.
Yes. But I would say all 4, these are all fundamental human drives. At some level, all of us want to accomplish something, or we all like a little bit of competition and winning. That's a human thing. My wife still likes to win, don't get me wrong, but she much more motivates to the cooperative side of the game than the crush each other side of the game. But I still like cooperation, and she still doesn't mind beating me.
Right.
Still have yet to take her in Scrabble, dang it. But but that being said, yes, I would say contextually that makes it so. All these things we can all adjust. We grow and change over time. Totally get it. So it's not an either or. It's like ideally stack all 4 types of motivators in the system, and different people will be called at different intensities. But yeah,
Correct.
good,
Right.
good
Right.
call out.
Because I could see a sales organization listening right now, and I would imagine most individuals who are in sales have that dominator / achiever mentality. So it's like, okay, great. Caitlin and Scott, they've just talked about the two game player types that my associates relate most to. I'm like, whoa. Let's talk about the other two now. Okay.
Good.
So achiever, let me just finish out how I relate to that. So I am a triathlete, right, and I appreciate that challenge because I can achieve multiple things in different sports. It's a great challenge for me. I wear a Garmin watch, and Garmin challenges me monthly with different badges to collect.
Achievers are in the best time it's ever been to be alive and be an achiever. You can track and measure and score and chart. It's
that's right.
Achiever crack, man. It's serious business.
And it's hilarious because I don't socialize the badges that I win on my Garmin watch. It's just in my app.
That's a different motivation. It's just because you want to accomplish the
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's for me.
Totally.
All right, so now let's get into the other two player types. So the next one is a socializer. So socializers enjoy playing games with other people.
Yes.
That is the value. It's the connection. It's the collaboration. It's the partnership. It's how can we do this together?
This is my wife all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So how do we bring that into an organization? Well, I've built games for a Fortune 200 organization where we were using technology. And within the technology, we had a chat feature. And in the chat feature, we were sharing best practices of how to increase customer satisfaction. So with that chat feature, it was a chance for socializers to say, hey, this is my 15 minutes of fame. I'm going to share, what I'm doing. And even as I say that, there might be a touch of achiever or a touch of dominator in that, right?
Yeah.
But they're sharing so that they can then socialize with others and then also see what are others posting. Maybe I can benchmark off of what they're doing and try it myself. So it's connecting with the community.
Yeah. And there's, again, for the older listeners or generationally most of the games when I was a young kid and older were not social at all. The stereotype of the gamer is like the acne teenager stuck in his basement all by himself,
right.
Guys, you've got to understand the biggest growth in games and the world in games now is social games. COVID, especially my kids during COVID, they went and hung out with their friends on their video games.
That's right.
Hey, you want to join us? And which game we we would say, hey, you want to go to the park? You want to go to the mall? Like when I was younger, now it's no, which game do you want to meet up on? And they go meet up at a game to play. And the game is just an excuse to hang out with each other. Me and my buddies would go play guns and fake guns, so Nerf guns in the backyard. My son goes and plays Fortnite guns with his buddies. It's the same game, but it's not my backyard. It's Fortnite. The social aspect of a game is massive these days. And the social aspect of your company is massive. If you're not designing, encouraging, rewarding people, collaborating, even thumbs up and liking each other and giving praise to look at the cool new job Caitlin did. Everybody knows. For some of you, you're like, I don't care if anyone knows. I did. But there's a huge part of society that is a massive drive for them. Think about social media. Social media is basically a big social game, right?
Gosh, yes.
Look at my Christmas pictures. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Did you? I didn't get as many thumbs up for that picture. Maybe we should have funnier Christmas jammies next year, right? Nobody wins social media in the dominator sense, but you very much can win in the social attention sense.
That's right. So if I take this and translate it into business operations again, I say an easy way to pull this out is through communication. How are we communicating? A lot of times as leaders, we just say, here's the direction that you need to go and go. But we then don't reinforce yes, that's the right track. And we're going to celebrate that we're making small progress, even though we haven't hit the finish line. We haven't finished the game. But, in this first quarter, here's how we're doing. And you know what, Scott, I talk with a lot of leaders about how to effectively communicate. And a lot of times I challenge them, even if there isn't a change, then say there are no new changes. Keep going. We're making great progress. Let's, reconnect. A lot of times I think as leaders, we get uncomfortable. Nothing new has changed. It's the next time for our call or it's our monthly town hall. What do I say? Well, then you say, nothing new has transpired. Let's keep going. It's looking good.
Yeah, because there's value in the human connection and the recognition of each other, even if we don't have a new achievement to list.
That's
But
right.
I
It's
totally have
reinforcement.
seen this. It's like an achievement style leader who says, well, I've got no new achievements to report. Why are we like, no, there's more going on here than you hitting the next benchmark. The human collaboration is valuable by itself. And maybe valuable is better. It's motivating. It draws the best
Yes.
out of people. They want to do more work just because they get to talk with each other about it.
And they want to know what other people are doing. So if we think about in the hybrid world, if you have an organization that's hybrid or mostly remote, you have to think about how to verbally communicate and show progress in more ways than you would if everyone was gathered in a building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So socially connecting.
It's still a fundamental need, even if you don't meet together. So you got to figure it out 100%. Okay. So that's 3 of 4. What is our 4th category?
The 4th is called an explorer.
Yes.
So the explorers, they know the objective and they will get to the objective. However, there might be something shiny that gets their attention and they go left instead of right. Or they start questioning, have we tried this? And they want to tinker and, something new is popping up. And so they just want to explore. They want to, I don't know, fill in the blank for me, Scott, here. Like they just want to be curious.
My oldest daughter is a year-ish into a game that she is having the best time in the world at, and she is a peak explorer. So she's playing Guild Wars 2, and there's this massive map and characters and stories and arcs, and she literally keeps talking about the new places she gets to go. And they designed this game really brilliantly. One of the things you can unlock and do is literally they just give you a list of beautiful vistages, like beautiful views. And you just find your way and there's a tree and there's a little inside under the hole in the tree in the bottom, and you climb to the top and you can pop out the top of the tree at the top of the forest and see this view. There's literally no monster to fight. You don't get any skill from it. There's no enemy to defeat. There's nobody to talk about. It's just she loves seeing all of the beautiful places that they design. The next one is like this ice cave with a dragon in it. And she's like, forget the dragon. I just wanted to see the ice cave. Just seeing what's out there, finding the new races, learning the learning journey itself is what she plays the game for. Oh, once in a while, she plays with her friends. Oh, yeah, she's picked up new skills. Hey, she just won a big boss fight. But all of that is secondary to her, to the joy of exploring a whole new world of possibilities. That's probably a big secondary for me as well. Like, I want to win. Oh, man, I just love seeing what's out there.
See, I pass the baton to you to fill in the explorer because I don't connect with that one very much. Like if I have an end game, and this is achiever in me calling, right? If I know how to win, I am laser focused. I am Seabiscuit going after that finish line, right? Like if there is a magic tunnel somewhere along the way, I'm like, I don't care. I'll come back. Like I got to get to the finish line.
Yeah. No, I for better and for worse, love the shiny distraction. And it's like, ooh, let's go learn. I'll give you the thing we joke my daughter about, and she wouldn't mind me telling this, I don't think. She's proud about it. Is she watched a 3-hour documentary on ancient bread making techniques.
Oh, wow.
And she watched it twice.
Oh.
Like, why? We don't make bread. We don't make bread. Like she doesn't have a bread maker just because it's interesting to learn the way we used to do this and how curious. Isn't that fun? So some of you are like rolling over right now. Like, how are we? Like, I want my people watching 3-hour bread. No. But she's also the kind of person that thinks up of unusual new things.
Yes.
That will sit with clients and listen and learn. That will sit with well, actually, did you know these two things you didn't know this part of the organization and this part of the organization are similar. They should collaborate. These people who learn the seemingly random things, the reason she keeps bringing the bread making stuff up is because she's actually talking about small business. She's talking about artisan crafting. She's in the cinematography school right now in college, and she has actually drawn multiple parallels to like what it was like to build a local bakery back in the day to what it's like to put your own project together. And and you're like, that's an analogy none of us would have thought of, but it's actually really interesting.
Right.
These explorers often look like they're going slower, and then they come back with something that sets you apart, puts you in a category, the rest of the organization, your whole industry's like, no one's thinking that way. And the explorers.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So when you translate it then into business, how are you using the folks that ask too many questions, right? Like those ones where you're like, okay, they're not bought in and they keep asking me and it almost feels combative. They're asking me so many different questions, but they're just super curious about what else could we do? You know, what does this look like? What if we didn't even do that? What if we did something else? You're like, no, like here would be me. I'm like, nope, that's the plan. But then I have to be open too, as a leader, of there might be an explorer who thought about it or saw it in a completely different light than I did.
Yeah.
You know, there's a time and a place, right? Like, so as an achiever, I create space to say, hey, let's explore, let's discover, let's talk, let's get all of these personalities in a room. And then at the end of the week, that time is done. Now we need to execute, right? So then the achiever
all of these have pros and cons, and they all balance each other out, I think. So yeah, you know, sometimes we want to win, and sometimes you need to slow down and just have some fun and enjoy the moment. Sometimes you need to get focused and not get distracted. And sometimes the best stuff is things you weren't planning on, and all that. Sometimes you need to be social, and sometimes, well, dang it, we need to put our head down and do some serious work that isn't anyone else involved. And so all of that stuff matters. So there are tactical ways to do this. Let me wrap up with some of these things that we do with organizations. So I'll throw a couple out, you throw a couple out, just to kind of get an idea. We'll bring it back to where we started. I want to build this great customer experience engine, and I want to be a legendary brand. Like, what do you do? Well, one of the things I would say is talk about the big picture and the why. Invite your people and define what winning looks like. Sadly, the minority of companies actually let their people into the game of winning. Maybe once a year, maybe once a quarter, we say, oh, hey, here are the numbers. Here's how we're doing. Man, your people are asking every day, am I winning? So put together basic scorecard and say, here are the top 3 goals we have for this quarter, for the year, if we're going to hit the year's goal, we got to hit these quarter goals. And not just for the sales organization, like pick a quality measure, pick a customer satisfaction survey goal, pick each team, every human somewhere deep down is saying, am I winning? If you don't give them an answer with some sort of score, some sort of report, some sort of shout out, they'll just start making something up, or they'll go find another game to play. And the metaphor I literally talked about this yesterday with some of our clients in Charleston. We were talking about this earlier, but the metaphor I use with them is my son's getting big into basketball right now. It's one of the sports he's fired up about. It's like, well, this is what it would be like if the basketball coach came in, they ripped all the scoreboards down, and they had an app so the coaches could see how we're doing, but they told the players, like, don't worry about it. You guys just play hard. We'll tell you at the end of the game when time's up, and we'll let you know if you won. Or sadly, maybe we'll tell you at the end of the season, right? Like, hey,
no,
play a bunch of games. But that's how I know when you think about it as an athlete, like that drives me nuts. And that's how a lot of businesses are being run. The boss is keeping track of some stuff, and like, yeah, we'll let you guys know at the end of the quarter or the end of the year whether you're doing okay. Like they want to win. Give them a dadgum score to chase, or they will make one up, or they will stop trying. So this really tactical thing of come up with a score and figure out a way to tell your players, hey guys, this is what winning the game looks like. How are we doing? That alone, you don't have to shout at them. You don't have to pay them more money. Like, this alone will unlock tremendous amount of energy and excitement for some of your employees.
That's exactly right. You know, I'm getting ready to do a keynote motivational talk coming up here, Scott, for a client of ours. And the group of leaders is gathering together to come up with their goals for the year, because we're filming this in January, right? So they're going to come up with their goals for the year. But 80% of goals and strategies will fail because people don't know how to play the game. So when we think about what game are we playing, okay, so those leaders need to be able to go back and share the goals. What does success look like? What's the score? And then to your point, how do we know if we're winning? Where's the score? How do I check? How do I check on my own and not have to go through you to find out, so that I can then use my strengths to volunteer ideas and ways to continue to improve and drive the goal together.
Yes.
And if you play out, going back to sports, basketball, you have a full year. Where's your halftime report? Where's your end of quarter report? Don't wait until the end of the year to say, hey, we did it, or no, we didn't.
Yes. It's so basic and it's so powerful. Okay. So I'll throw on the other end of the coin. We talked about leveling up and growth and employees and how millennials are not just millennials, but overwhelmed. They leave jobs if there's not enough growth in it, right? It's the number one reason why people don't stay. Yeah. Well, man, sometimes I don't know, I can't constantly be driving them. I think the most powerful thing we've seen is helping people map out career growth opportunities, and then posting and communicating and encourage. And then it's on you. Hey, Caitlin, here are 3 books you can read. Here, if you're interested, here's an online course that we'll cover. If you want to apply to get a coach or go to an offsite conference, here's the process. And then you just put and say, hey, if you want to be eligible, so you can't guarantee promotions. I think that's a really dangerous approach. But you can say things like, if you want to be eligible to be one of the people we consider for the next promotion or the next pay raise, or even I've literally seen companies say, hey, you got to do these 3 things, right? Everyone, if you haven't read this book and sat and talked to your boss about this book, or if you haven't done this challenge on the job, take on this new thing, or go sit with this team and learn how they do it, or you just spell it out and then put the initiative in their court and say, hey, if you want it, here is how you level up. And I've literally seen companies that say, we have a level 1, level 2, same job. You're a level 2 performer of the job and level 3 performer of the job. And we'll give you either a tiny little bonus or maybe even just a badge on the company website, internal. But you just say, hey, you can level up. And level 4 people are the people we consider for the next promotion opportunity. And then you just write out here's the kinds of stuff that we would want you to do. So I'll give you a really tactical example. At a Chick-fil-A, if you want to be a shift manager, you start as a regular kind of, team member, you work in a register. We're actually, we need you to come shadow the opening shift manager at first opening the store in the morning. There's a bunch of extra stuff to do, right? So you need to come very early, shadow them. You need to do that 3 times. They need to sign off that you're good at what you're doing. You also need to get a recommendation from 2 of your employees that I would work for this person. Hey, would you thumbs up, Kate? There's no commitment that if you do all these things, you have to read this book. They usually give them a book by the founder, Truett Cathy, that says, hey, if you haven't read Truett's book, it's a real simple, easy story. And they're like, if you haven't done these 3 things, well, do you want to be a shift manager? Do these 3 things. And the next time we have a shift manager opening, then you're eligible to be considered to come open the store instead of just be one of the employees. And there's a small raise. But then the initiative is on them. You don't have to drive them. You don't just map out, what does leveling up look like in the job? Give them options. Many of them can be free. Yes, at the higher levels, you might want to invest in your leaders more intentionally, or it may cost a little bit, but you show people how they can level up in their job, and there'll be a whole other unlock. So those are my 2 recommendations. Give them a score and show them what leveling up looks like, and you might be blown away at who steps up.
And intrinsically. I know, because what is it? I think it's something around the number of 60 million Americans play games voluntarily. It's funny. I said that in a group and someone's like, well, why else would we play? I mean, it's true. But if you were to then harness some of these game theory ideas, and in that description of what does it look like to level up in a role, think about these 4 player types and put in 4 things, 1 for each, right? And just kind of think about, you accomplish all of these, a task together with somebody else, but even your thumbs up, would someone recommend you? That would suffice as well. I love that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, we're not playing Monopoly at work, hoping that it gets us better performance, right? There's some fundamental things beneath the games, the reason we play these games. And when we tap into those, we unlock, I honestly think, what it means to be human. I mean, this isn't a niche weird thing that a few gamers are into. Here's what I would argue. Games are just one of the ways we express that. I see similar stuff in sports fans. how they go nuts, guys who go because they track the wins, and the guys who go just to tailgating, right?
The social piece.
That's exactly right. And you can think about almost everything we do for entertainment or recreation as humans, and they all tap into these fundamental drives. If we as leaders learn to tap into who our people already want to be, it gets so much more fun and powerful. Getting from your grand vision, if you're just going to whip them and drive them because the boss said so, man, that's a rough way to get there. I don't know if you even can get to greatness at that.
I don't think anymore.
If you want to be a great organization, you've got to tap into the intrinsic power, intrinsic drives of your own folks. You, in essence, have to turn your business into the most fun game they've ever played.
That's exactly right. Well said, Scott.
Thanks for spending some time with us on your journey to legendary. If you enjoyed this episode and want more content like this, you may want to sign up for our newsletter. You can do that and learn about all the ways we are helping leaders build legendary brands at swozconsulting.com. That's www.swozconsulting.com. Greatness is possible. You just have to build the right engine.